One, so another observing people who has a good communication skills in terms of articulating a discussion or articulating a topic with regard to the discussions of different issues. So here, guys, this is a guy. He has been Shapiro, okay, a 40-year-old man, and he actually this man is came from Harvard School, and he's an attorney. He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer at the same time. So, and he had a book, and the title is the Authoritarian Moment. In There are 288 pages. So I didn't read that kind of book, but yeah, soon. So here, guys, it's I want to share this man who has a good communication skills, and he has variants, different issues uh, solved in different criteria, which is in a politics, social, and civil discussions. So let's hear this man who has an articulate speaking skills.
Well, I think that there are a couple of things. One, there is actually a hunger for different ideas. The monolithic nature of the United States media is pretty evident in terms of its politics. People tend to agree on essentially the liberal point of view and increasingly a radical leftist point of view in the media. And obviously I speak in response to that. At the same time, I try to provide an honest take on the issues of the day, and that means that I am not beholden to the Republican Party, for example. It means that I am going to speak out whenever I think that a principle is being violated, just no matter who is doing the violation.
You work for the right-wing Breitbart website, but you left over its support for Donald Trump. And I think you said you'd never vote for Mr. Trump. Why is that?
Well, in 2016, the Breitbart made a hard turn in favor of one particular candidate, and that's their prerogative. Lots of publications have an editorial point of view, and Breitbart was one of those. The reason that I left Breitbart specifically was because of an incident in which a Breitbart reporter, a female reporter, was grabbed on the arm by Corey Lewandowski, then the campaign manager for President Trump, and was bruised on the arm, and then Corey Lewandowski proceeded to lie about it, and Breitbart proceeded to throw its own reporter under the bus, suggest that she was lying or making this up. And at that point, I determined that I could no longer work for a publication that wasn't even willing to stand up for its own reporters, and instead would throw those reporters under the bus in favor of a candidate that it sought to back.
Haven't you lost your battle for the Republican Party, though? Isn't the Republican Party now the party of Trump?
Little Red Riding Hood.
No, I mean, I think that the Republican Party is always the party of whomever is the president, technically speaking, but in terms of who are the sort of the thought leaders inside the conservative movement, who are the people who are driving a lot of the discussion inside the conservative movement, I don't think that's correct at all. I think that most Republicans see President Trump as a vehicle for their policy preferences, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they agree with all of his personal foibles or the way that he behaves or the things that he says. And I think a lot of Republicans respond in anger to the media attacking President Trump mainly out of a reactionary and half-appropriate upset that the media seem to have a double standard when it comes to covering certain politicians.
I'm interested that you think there's a thought movement inside the Republican Party. I mean, haven't the Conservatives run out of ideas in America? All the new policies, the Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, the Green New Deal, they're all coming from the left, and they're popular.
Well, frankly, I'm confused by the idea that any of those are particularly new ideas. I mean, most of those ideas have been around since Franklin Delano Roosevelt at the very earliest, or at the very latest, rather. Some of them go all the way back to Woodrow Wilson. But the idea that new ideas are absent in the Republican Party is obviously untrue. We have a very strong debate that goes on inside sort of the conservative halls of intelligentsia about what is the appropriate action to take with regard to the medical system. Should global warming be considered a real threat, or should global warming be considered something that technology will solve? And if so, what are the best aspects of solving that? Now, there's a rich and strong debate on the right about nationalism versus patriotism, for example, or populism versus free marketeerism. That debate is happening on the right. It sort of suggests that the right in America is bereft of ideas, but the left is full of ideas. Number one, not all ideas are good ideas. I mean, AOC is pretty good evidence of that. I'm a big fan of some old ideas myself that I think are pretty good. But beyond that, I think that it is intellectual sneering of the highest order to suggest that only the left has new and decent ideas.
Some of the ideas that are popular in your side of politics would seem to take us back to the Dark Ages, Georgia, new abortion laws.
Okay, guys, let's summarize the way that he give his commentaries. He has a good traits in terms of communication aspect. Number one is the eye to eye contact. Okay. So eventually, guys, the way that he spoke, he sees his eye is something in one direction. So meaning to say that he purposely adapted a sense of focus to that person in order to deliver his speech or his ideas or his opinion. Number two is that fluency. Okay, and I know this guy is a kind of uh, debater or orator or something, but beyond of that, guys, he knows how the things goes around. In other words, that he can able to twist the facts into different facts because he knows how to evaluate his opinion. And number three is the confident. And as we all know, this guy, if you search this guy, Ben Shapiro, almost his entire career in terms of orator or debating something, he can actually give his full potential of expressing ideas. That's the good traits of his. So let's learn this kind of good traits, guys, in order to compete or in order to share our ideas with confidence. And that's the way that we want to be as a non-native speaker to a native speaker.